Hey, what's up, everybody? So I'm coming to you today with the what's next on Daniel Jacobs, the former two-time middleweight champion, currently competing at super middleweight, where I have him ranked third in the world right now. Jacobs returned on November 27th, Friday night on the Zone, a little over a week ago, and he main evented that card when he took on Gabriel Rosado, former world title challenger, and he ended up scoring a somewhat controversial but a very ugly 12-round split decision. I really wasn't happy with Daniel Jacobs and his effort that he put in, because he really didn't seem like he cared and wanted to be there. It was very workmanlike, just didn't seem into it, and it was an ugly fight. Rosado, instead of going and exchanging with Jacobs, decided to stand back and box, and proved successful to a degree, but I don't think he was really doing a lot either. So very dull, boring fight. Went to the full 12, and Jacobs got out of there with a somewhat controversial 12-round split decision. Rosado was pretty upset that he didn't get the decision. So moving forward now, the big question is what's next for Daniel Jacobs. Now, is a rematch in the cards? I think there's a slight possibility of that, but I really don't think so. I don't know if there's going to be a high demand for it. It wasn't like it was an action-packed fight where, it demands a rematch because it was such a good fight and the fans want to see it. So I don't see a big public outcry for a rematch. Plus, like I said, it wasn't really, but neither guy really did a lot. So, it was kind of a dull, boring fight. So I don't think Danny's going to dip into this well again, or that he really needs to. But, if he wanted to, I think the possibility's there, I guess is what I'm saying. So, for a rematch. But let's run through the top 10, because Daniel Jacobs is now officially done with his DAZN and Matchroom contract. So he can pretty much fight wherever he wants. So let's run through the top 10 and see what his options are if he's technically a free agent, because I'm pretty sure all the networks will be trying to get him. So let's take a look. He didn't leave on bad terms. He just finished his contract with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. So let's see what is possible for him heading forward. So let's start with the very top, Canelo Alvarez. Top of 168 right now. Canelo's fighting Colin Smith. Even if Canelo wins or loses, I don't see him and Danny locking up. I just don't think Danny has done anything since the loss that warrants a rematch with Canelo, and I don't think Canelo's going to go back to that. It'd be high risk, low reward right there. Especially if Jacobs were to come back and beat him. Again, there's not a high demand for the rematch, so wouldn't make a lot of sense for Canelo right now. So win or lose, I don't think Canelo fights Jacobs next. Number 2 would be Colin Smith, the WBA super champion. I think there would be some interest here, but I don't see it happening, because if Colin Smith upsets Canelo and holds on to the title, unless he brutally knocks Canelo out, which I don't see happening, there's probably going to be a rematch between the two. We're probably going to see these two guys rematch, and the possibility would be there for him and Jacobs, but and it'd be a good one if Canelo didn't want a rematch. But I think at the very worst, if I believe Colin Smith's going to lose, and then Danny wouldn't look at him because he doesn't have a belt any longer. Maybe he would, but I doubt it. So that's where I see a problem there. So I'm going to say no to a Colin Smith fight. Number 3 is Jacobs. Number 4 is undefeated WBO champion Billy Joe Saunders. Now, I do think there's a really live possibility of this one. Jacobs didn't leave, isn't done with Matchroom and DAZN on bad terms, so I think he would definitely come back and fight Saunders. There's a world title at stake. I think that really interests Daniel Jacobs. I think he'd get really motivated for that. It's a big fight. So I think there's a decent chance that these two guys could collide for the WBO title. So yeah, I'm going to say this one is very possible. Next at number 5 is undefeated former two-time champion David Benavidez. Benavidez doesn't hold a title anymore, and I think this is a high-risk fight for Danny right now to go against Benavidez. I like Benavidez. I like the matchup here. I think it would do good for both their careers if they're either guy is victorious, but I think it's kind of a high-risk fight for Danny when he has other beatable options, and Benavidez doesn't even bring a title to the table right now. So I'm going to lean towards a no on that one. Number 6 is undefeated IBF champion Caleb Plant. Now, this one's interesting. I think this is possible. These two guys have jawed and had words before, over social media. Jacobs has said that his title, or that he would like, he wants to go after a world champion next. Now, he used to be with the PBC, and he's still aligned with Al Heyman as his manager, or his advisor. So, I think there's a possibility that Jacobs and Plant get together. I'm going to lean towards the less likely just because I don't think Jacobs wants to get in there with another boxer. Look at Gabriel Rosado try to box him, and he almost beat Jacobs. Now, I know Jacobs wasn't highly motivated for that. Probably be a different kind of motivation for Caleb Plant, but does he really want to test the waters out against Plant? I'm not sure about that one. So just got to wait and see, but I'm going to lean towards the no on that, but I do think it is possible. Number 8, he's number 6. Number 7 is Anthony Durrell. I don't see this one happening. If he goes to PBC, maybe, but I think Jacobs wants a title. I think Durrell wants to be world champion, so I'm going to lean towards a no. He's number 7. Number 8 would be a showdown with John Ryder. Another one that's possible, but I think John Ryder's lined up for the WBA regular belt that Canelo's basically given up in order to fight Colin Smith for the super title. So the winner's going to be one unified WBA champion, and then they'll allow the regular title to go vacant and somebody else fight for it, and that's going to be John Ryder. So I think it's possible because Ryder's a DAZN guy, but I don't think it's going to happen because I think Ryder's lined up for a world title, and he'd rather just grab a hold of that world title first and then come back and fight a guy like Danny later. So I'm not seeing this one. Number 9 is his contender Lionel Thompson. I don't think Danny wants to take a risk against Thompson, who doesn't have a big name and he has a style that he has. I just don't see it, so I'm going to say no. And then number 10 is is Caleb Truax, which will be a rematch from years ago, and it's a guy that Danny beat. I'm not seeing this one. So for Jacobs, I think it's possible. Top 10 guys, I think Billy Joe Saunders is the most likely top 10 guy that he could face next. After him, it's kind of wide open. I think Caleb Plant and John Ryder are possible. And if for some reason I don't see anybody else in the top 10 being likely next. So Jacobs, it's up to him what he wants to do. I think a good showdown would be Chris Eubank Jr. too, because Eubank's willing to move up from 160. I know Jacobs wants the Charlos, but if no titles at stake, is Jermall, who's at 160, going to want to move up? So Jacobs, I think, kind of has a couple choices he could make, but he has to be willing to go for them. Does he really want Billy Joe Saunders next? I think that's the most likely and possible thing if he wants it. So we just got to wait and see what happens. But that's it. That's the what's next on Daniel Jacobs, the former 2-time middleweight champion of the world. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.